What are signs that people are not that intelligent? Thinking that louder is how to win an argument. Correct. Refuses to humble themselves or admit they may be wrong. Oh, adding on to this, when they see admitting you were incorrect as a sign of weakness. I had this one guy start some real shit because I had some inconsequential info wrong. He corrected me and I said that yeah, he was right. I guess I had the wrong info, but now I know better for next time. And he said I was shutting down and some other weird chest-thumping wannabe, alpha male, type crap. No man, I was wrong. You were right, take the win, dude. I've never had someone who I would consider intelligent tell me how smart they are. Zero self-awareness. I think I would know if I had zero self-awareness. A lack of curiosity about the world or other people. In my opinion, the biggest tell is a lack of curiosity about anything. The average Joe can learn a whole lot, but they have to want to. They make absolute statements that are just not absolute. This is the one. Almost nothing is absolute, and it's incredibly irritating when people think that way. Absolutely. Unintelligent people usually blame others and never accept responsibility. I know some extremely intelligent narcissists who blame others and never accept responsibility. I'm still learning at age 84. To me, that's the only way to live. It's always everyone else's fault, never theirs. When they confuse knowledge, intelligence, and wisdom, knowledge knowing information, intelligence how to apply said information and invaluable experience doing so, wisdom understanding of when and how to apply said information experience. Cruelty. Look for those who are hateful, angry, spiteful, combative. Ignorance breeds anger, because when they're too stupid to understand the world around them they lash out. Exactly, lack of empathy is also lack of intelligence. They parrot headlines without knowing what the article said. Say a ton more than they listen. People who try too hard to sound intelligent. Probably not unambiguously true, but you can usually tell a smart person simply by their demeanor sometimes. Totally. One of my favorite types of people are the ones who learn a few big words and think they're geniuses. They brag that they haven't opened a book since high school. They repeatedly tell stories where they won or owned somebody. They get angry when their ideas are questioned, because the thought that they may not always be right bruises their ego. They socially or professionally shun people who actually are intelligent. Using feminist or woke as an insult. Anti-vaxxers frequent talk about detoxing religion. I read once that below average people talk about other people. Average people talk about things and events while intelligent people talk about ideas. I've never liked that saying. There's a time and a place for all those discussions. They think that certain words are incantations which, once said, automatically win the argument. A couple of common current examples are to accuse someone of violating boundaries or gaslighting. Another strong indicator of a lack of intelligence is the assumption belief that there is a simple, easy solution to any persistent issue or problem. If it were simple or easy, it would have been solved a long time ago. When they don't ask enough questions. Whenever someone asks this question, I always see a lot of answers that are more a judgment of people's character than of their intelligence. I know both very intelligent people and not so intelligent people who like to hear themselves talk way too much. To me, the real answer lies in how many layers of complexity someone can hold on to and process simultaneously when you're explaining a concept or task to them. With some people, I'll be telling them something that seems pretty simple to me. To give an extreme example, maybe it's something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm going to leave in like an hour. Meeting earlier ran a little long. I can pick up the food on the way since it's right by me. They usually only take like 10 minutes though, so you shouldn't order it yet or it will be cold. I want the burrito with chicken and Jane wants one with steak and no rice." I think from that most people could take that information and establish everything they need to know to order the food at the correct time. But someone with low intelligence legitimately just can't process all that information at once. If you tell them specifically the list of items they should order and at what time they can do it, but they can't process all that information and come to that conclusion themselves. This is roughly analogous to context window in the world of AI. A sign of intelligence is being able to simplify information into necessary summaries. The fact that you took that many words to explain a simple food order may not indicate a lack of intelligence on the people trying to interpret your word salad. The first thing I thought of was some sort of self-awareness. For instance, when people clearly can see you're walking into a store, but they're just standing still and blocking the entrance. Like, dude, you're standing in the worst place possible, just go outside of the store or 1 mile to the side. Then when you squeeze past them, they continue to stand there like they didn't know what happened. Like they're thinking, oh, why did that guy have to squeeze past me? Even if you don't understand social cues, you should still be able to realize stuff like that, if you have a working brain. Another way I see intelligence is being able to solve problems without knowing all the information. Similar to the Raven's matrices used in IQ tests. But those tests might as well be fun Sudoku puzzles to me, so I don't know. They believe everything they see on social media, even things that are obviously false. Like the people who think touching receipts makes you impotent. They leave shopping carts everywhere but the designated place. That's just lazy and selfish, not unintelligent. Turning something that's not political into a political statement. Experts go out of their way to tell you the limits of their knowledge scope, and tend to give lots of nuance and context. Idiots go on and on about how smart they are and oversell their knowledge, often with more absolutes, yet staying broad when confronted with anything outside of their preconceived ideas. Susceptibility to blind faith. They believe the earth is flat, assuming that others aren't intelligent because they are unwilling to participate in things like bullying and humiliation games. Assuming that because someone is unwilling to keep up with bullshit internet antics that they must be stupid. Assuming that because you're targeting them and they choose to not respond, that they're dumb. I have found that oftentimes, the one who chooses not to respond is actually being merciful. Impervious to facts that do not support their POV. This question is interesting, so apologies for my long-ass post. I'm autistic and this is just taps on one of my interests. Is it not a kind of hard question to answer? The idea of intelligence is a little bit complicated. In general, there are so many things that make it obvious when someone isn't intelligent, but most of those things could only be applied to people who you could consider normal, average. Many of those things you cannot apply to people who are suffering from some type of developmental disorder or condition. The real question isn't just if someone is smart or not, it's what type of intelligence they have, or don't have. People can be smart in completely different ways, and that's a huge part of it. For instance, people might not be book smart, but they may be street smart. It depends on what you hold as more valuable, on who you say is more smart. What things make one of those smarter than other? Really, it's just so much easier to pick out traits of people who are of high intelligence because they come from a different cut of cloth. People with exceptional intelligence do this. They'll straight up admit when they're not 100% sure about something in the middle of a conversation. Like, instead of acting like they know everything, they'll be real about the fact that what they're saying is just a theory, or that they're making an educated guess, basing their statement on their current knowledge. And if they go as far as fact-checking themselves in real time, that's next level. Before they make their statement, they will let you know that they will fact-check themselves in that moment to prove they are right, or to correct themselves and make sure everyone gets the actual facts. Why does it make the person smart? They care more about the truth than looking smart. That's rare. And honestly, that's what makes them worth listening to and lets you know that they are a seeker of knowledge that is true. They are a trustworthy resource since almost everything you hear them say is going to be verified. Those two things alone? Major signs of above-average intelligence. But they also show that the person has humility, respect for others, and just overall good social awareness. People like that actually know how to hold a conversation and engage with people in a way that makes them stand out. And chances are, they're probably intelligent in more ways than one. They will probably have some type of major deficit in their knowledge though. Usually will be in basic but kind of necessary things like people skills, math, grammar, spelling, or history. People will misunderstand the deficit and will assume that the person has low intelligence, but they are usually pretty wrong. I haven't even touched on the whole angle of people who actually have high intelligence, that come from undereducated poverty, ghetto, or third world environments. Here's a question for you. How can you tell that someone has high intelligence if that person was unable to get consistent education throughout their childhood and as a young adult? Meaning that they were unable to go to school for a long enough period of time during their youth. That the person was unable to gain certain knowledge that is standard for everyday Americans. If that person, even with having to experience barriers to education and have become some type of uneducated, was actually, biologically of high intelligence, how could you tell? Take your time to really think about it. If you meet someone that holds the qualities that you think of, keep him around. Depends how you define intelligence. If you are bad at pattern recognition, then you will make similar mistakes over and over. If you are bad at linear thinking, you will have trouble identifying cause and effect and believe that things just happen randomly for no reason. If you're not curious, then you might fall behind on the learning curve and find that other people your age know more about the world than you. What are signs that people are not that intelligent? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.